So, hello everyone and welcome. So this will be an open ask me anything session. So we are the Odoo.SH team. From right to left, this is Fabien Legacy, Denis Lemille, Denis Odoo, and I am Damien. So we'll roam the room with a microphone so that you can ask questions and everyone can hear it, and we'll try to answer as best we can. Does anyone have a question?
Hello. Hi. What is the goal for you with Odoo.SH in general? We understand that you're deploying it right now free for the partners, but in the long term, what is your vision mission and how do you see it in the long term? Because from our point of view, implementing it right now is very easy, it's not very easy, but in the long term, what will be our cost, how we can forecast it? This would be very much with your vision and mission of what you want to do with it. Not a technical question, sorry.
Is this one? Okay. It's a complex question, and ideally you would have liked to have someone more, an extra person here to answer these questions. But I can probably not give a long-term vision because obviously I'm not in the managing position. But the goal of this platform is to fill a gap not for big partners. I don't know if you have a lot of employees or not, but clearly the goal here is small partner, especially partners that begin working with Odoo now and who don't have their usual development flow because we already know that as we've seen from the questions we've had before, that all of the current partners, or most of them at least, and certainly the big ones, have something more or less similar already working for them. They had an in-house solution, or they shared it with a few of them. And clearly, this is not the exact same thing because you are used to using your own tools. Maybe you have some integration tests that cannot be run on this platform at this moment. And so certainly, we already know that big partners will be hard to convince to use this tool, and actually they don't have to if they don't want to. It's just an extra bonus in the partnership. So certainly, I think I didn't have a lot of questions that seem to imply that this was a threat on the model of partner, and certainly it's not. We're not going to lock anything up in the future so that for some reason this might be the winning tool we want to do. No, that's not the point at all. That's not what we want to do. We want to make it easy for those who choose to come to this platform to work with it, and if you don't want to, well, no harm in that. It's up to you.
It's also a tool that will allow you as a partner to provide to focus on what your customers are looking for you. So managing servers is certainly not your expertise that you want to show to your customer. It allows you to focus on that.
Some countries require a private. There's a lot of privacy issues with specific data. So the question is, at this moment you're running in Europe, but is it possible to specify the servers exactly where they are, as an example? You understand the question, because there is a new regulation, from May 2018 we have to comply with all the privacy issues in the European Union in general, but also some countries like ours, Germany, is very, very strict about things like that.
So the question for those who live here is, for regulation reasons, for example, is it possible to choose the exact location of the server on which a project would be hosted?
Actually, we are working with Google Cloud at the moment, and on the Google Cloud we can choose any location you would like if you ask for it. I think there is no restriction for us to do it. And at the moment, for example, in Europe, you have the choice to London, Belgium, in since near Mons. And then you have also Frankfurt in Germany.
It's more technical solution than that choice.
So, sorry?
It's more technical solution is required.
Yeah, but at the moment, in Europe, we have choose to locate it in Belgium to make some more money for Belgians. But we can definitely host more server in Germany, for example, and it's already implemented to locate some customers on some servers and not on any other server. So definitely you can.
I've got two questions about domain name and certificate. The first one is it possible to have a domain name like partner in it, so client.partner.com? First question. And is it possible to put a wildcard certificate for the partner? Yes. And the second question is maybe the same. If my client wants to have a website with his domain name, is it possible? And is it possible to put his certificate on the website?
So the question was, can we use our own domain name, our own wildcard certificate? For example, when he has his partnername.com and he would have his client under client1.partnername.com.
At the moment, this is already possible on the SaaS. You can have custom domains, and for the SSL support, that's already possible, but through Cloudflare at the moment. It will be also possible to do it through Cloudflare for the past, no problem at all. You can already choose custom domain name, so this is already implemented. What you cannot do at the moment, but maybe we will do it, is already set your own SSL certificate and do not use Cloudflare, so you can set up directly your Nginx or Apache or any configurations to use your SSL.
The reason why we do it with Cloudflare at the moment is just because it's very easy, because every time we register a new domain, it generates a certificate for us on their server, so it's very easy to set up. People just write the domain name there, they do the redirection, and then it's ready.
Yeah. Great. One question. I wanted to know for each project, how are you going to define the restrictions that you are going to have on your server, like the amount of CPU and memory, and what is going to happen if some project is requesting more?
Yeah. Okay. So I think on the pricing page we put one column with the standard offer, and we say it's for up to a certain amount of users and up to, so something that should be a normal use case. And if you go above that, then we have a column to say it's custom, contact us. So if you have more need than what we call the standard need, you should call us and then we can discuss it.
Yeah, that's perfect. I just want to know if it happens to be requiring more, it's going to be limited by Docker or something like that.
If you what?
If in case it's requiring more CPU or more memory, it's going to be limited to one amount of memory or CPU.
We enforce some kind of limit at the moment. We have to fine tune them. What does it say on the pricing page?
Just a second.
Yeah, but okay. Because I don't know what. I think it's something like up to 50 users. I think you're safe with 50 users. If you go above that, maybe it could become slow, and then we will need to increase the number of different processes that process your request in parallel. But we can do it, so we can increase the limit if needed, and we already do that in the standard SaaS. We have some customers who said who are big customer, and we take care of them, and we move them in another server with less people together. So we already manage that. And it's at the moment it's mostly manual. Okay, when we see that something needs more resources, then we move it. So maybe the next question.
Hello, so thanks for the amazing tool. It's going to be really help me in my company. Just a small question, very simple. How I can enable the demonstration data when it's initializing a development branch?
Okay, so we decided that every time you build something in development, we will instantiate the demo data. But once you go on staging and production, we work with the actual data of the production database. It's a choice that we did.
Okay, so we can choose it.
You cannot choose to enable or disable the demo data. It's in development we use demo data. In staging production we use the actual data of the customer. Any other questions?
Right. Can you share a bit more about the container technology that you're using?
Okay, maybe Fabien can explain us that. He developed the container part.
Okay. Yeah, the main recurring question, the question that I'm often asked is about the technology. Most people think that it would be Docker, and I don't know why, but there are points when we say that we do not use Docker. It's not really a problem because we use currently Anspawn from the systemd system, actually, which is on many modular distributions.
What's the name?
Systemd Anspawn. It's part of the systemd package. You can install it on Ubuntu with the package systemd-container, something like that. This tool provides basically at a lower level perspective the same technology than Docker. So it's using Linux namespaces. It's doing the same kernel calls, setns, to name it, to isolate the process from the memory point of view, the process list point of view, the file system, and so on. So it does basically the same. Rocket, by example, is not another technology which was using Anspawn as its root. Now, the reason why we didn't choose Docker is that we had a lot of network trickery to do to allow the model of Odoo.SH. It was possible to do with Docker, but we wouldn't use the features built in. We would have to use the API to try to bend the solution to what we actually need. There are also some other points, like the file system. It's not a feature that is currently added on Odoo.SH, but we know that we will have to deal with a lot of Git repositories, and we might end up using a file system like GitFS or BetterFS. We don't know yet, but we know that we won't use the Docker file system features. Okay. So all those features, knowing that we won't use it, made us choose a lower level component to do that. And just to add that after starting Odoo.SH, I just discovered that a company behind Docker made a new project to extract, to make a lower level layer of their technology. So I will definitely have a look at that. Maybe we will use it, I don't know. It's just that the full set of feature of Docker was not making sense, and we would have to bend the
And you all know that we have the not invented here syndrome at Odoo, and one of the things we are doing with Fabien, sometimes I prefer to do everything myself, and I say to him, but Anspawn or Docker or this and that, Actually, it's just a few system call in Linux. It uses ns-enter, the ns-enter system call to create the namespace. Then after it uses C groups. It's just a few system calls, so why don't we do it ourselves? And so maybe in the future he will call the system call himself. We need to discuss that. But when you look, Docker and all those systems, they rely on those same principles, and so for me it's very equivalent. And you say, oh, I want to use Docker, or want to use this helper because it will help me a lot. But once you go down into the detail, it's maybe 100 lines of code just to containerize. And that's because Linux provides everything you need to do it.
I would just add something. During the workshop we had upstairs, I had a lot of feedback, interesting feedback from everyone. And one of the feedback led to an idea, because the reason why some people ask what technology is behind that, sometimes they just want to replicate the system on their computer to develop and have the same structure than on Odoo.SH. And yeah, the idea is quite simple, and I think we will do that with the permission of all technical chief, but it's just per project extract a Docker file that would do exactly what you need. You can just run the Docker file on your local computer, and you would have the same environment. So you can use Docker for local computing, and you don't have to care that we don't use Docker.
Yeah, okay, we could do that.
He said it would be.
That was my next question.
Next question, maybe?
It was my next question.
Another question?
My question is there any way to integrate Odoo.SH with project management?
With project management? Not at the moment, but what you can do is, because we are synchronized with GitHub and you have your GitHub repository, you can use the GitHub issues and pull requests to manage stuff. What we will do is, I don't know if we do it now, publish the result of the test on GitHub. Do we do it now? Yeah?
We don't do it now, but
okay,
we
plan to do it. After, if you want to use, for example, ourselves, we create a task in Odoo there to put the link to the GitHub pull request and to the branch, and the opposite on every pull request that you can see of Odoo, we put the link to the task inside Odoo. So we don't have a direct synchronization between the two, but we do it manually. So no, we don't have any plan to. We think already with Odoo.SH we impose a way of working from a technical point of view. So we don't want to impose you a way to work from a project management point of view. Yeah. Another question.
Thanks. You mentioned running a community components modules on the Odoo.SH. What about running a community development testing version, something like this? Would you allow that?
What do you mean by the development testing version?
So if we have a project that are not on the enterprise, but we have something that we want to test in the community version.
At the moment we just run the Odoo enterprise version on Odoo.SH. So it's not planned to switch at the moment, because one of the reasons we do that is also to promote enterprise, and the reason why we can discount it for partners is actually because at the end supported by enterprise sales. That's the reason why we can discount it for our partners.
Do you think Odoo.SH can replace Runboard sometimes?
Can replace what?
Runboard.
Yes, that was the plan. It's not yet there, because Odoo.SH support works on a repository with your custom module that supplement the Odoo add-ons. So it doesn't work yet if you use it with our branch with all the full add-ons. But it was the plan at And maybe one day we will deprecate Runbot and Odoo.SH will do the job. We don't know yet. But at the moment, I think for the coming months, we will still use Runbot side to Odoo.SH.
Yeah. Okay. Taking into account now Odoo.SH is going to grow, and maybe some of us partners.
I hope so.
Yeah, we hope so. We think that a lot of projects are going to be in Odoo.SH, and they are going to be more and more difficult to handle through the portal. Are you willing to make an API or whatever in order to facilitate the way of handling the platform through our own Odoo?
So you mean an API to manipulate what's inside Odoo.SH?
Right.
But most of the thing that happens in Odoo.SH is related to the status of your Git repository on GitHub. So if you manipulate your Git repository, it has a direct impact in Odoo.SH. There's only a few things that are not in your repository. It's a few. It's the settings that appear on your setting page. Then those one, I don't think you can set it up with an API, but I will ask Damian.
Actually, I remember that we had this talk, I think 2 months ago, will we provide a JSON API or something like that? It probably wouldn't be very difficult for us because, as Anthony said, there's not a lot of stuff to do. Perhaps you want to say, okay, I want this page to be set in the staging mode or something like that.
Yeah.
Perhaps you want to set a few settings. So all in all, it probably wouldn't cost us a lot to do it, depending on how fast the platform evolves. However, it might be quite a lot of overhead to have to make sure that every time we ship something, we have then to increase the API version number and make sure we stay backward compatible. And that's actually quite a lot of work if you want to make it properly. So I guess we're certainly open to making that. And as you said, it depends on the success of the platform itself. If we see a lot of people with a lot of projects, and that clearly our tools make it somehow manageable to have so many projects, we'll probably have to think about it quite seriously. Depends a lot on by the way, on next week or in the coming weeks, we will have a feedback button on the website.
Okay.
So please send us feedback because we want to make it as easy for you to use this thing.
I will just add that you don't have to wait that we create an API to try to automate stuff with Odoo.SH because the client has been made by Damian actually, and it's made with the Odoo framework. So you can use JSON RPC already on most of the routes, and a lot of things can already be automated. You just right-click on Google Chrome on network request. You can see how you can replay this request with curl, by example, or you can just see the payload of the JSON RPC and you can do it yourself. So
but it's not officially documented.
It's a bit of a hack, but meanwhile you can already create it.
Thank you very much.
Any other question?
Okay.
We may have a question from the chat.
Okay.
How main merge type workflows is a main merge type flow possible with Odoo.SH?
What do you mean by mail merge? Okay.
In the Microsoft Word, you have the mail merge where you can create kind of a template and you can record it.
It's related to Odoo. No, I don't think so. Maybe they are talking about the way the Linux kernel works, where everybody sends a patch by email. No, I don't know. So I don't answer the question. No, I don't know what it is. Do you have other question on
no,
the
that was the
chat?
only question.
Okay. Also that it's
Just something concerning the domains, and we are talking about mails. You still have to set up the MX on your domain if you control the domains. So the mails go to Odoo.SH because there is an integration between the Odoo run in the container and the incoming mails. They are forwarded to your database, to the project, using the catch-all address of Odoo. same goes the other way. Outgoing mails are captured by our infrastructure, that's Odoo.SH, and depending on the database, if it's a production or development database, it will be either routed to the final SMTP server or a mail viewer, so you can just check the emails that are only for development purpose and not production.
C'est bon? That's good. On a encore plein de temps.
Do you consider in the future to let us control and, for example, freeze the update of the code?
Yeah, it's one of the most requested things, I think.
It's the most requested feature. And the good news is that when we started the project, we knew that it's the targets. We have to allow people to check out the revision they want, and also to manage their container as if they were root. It's not yet there on the beta.
Yeah.
I can't tell when it will be implemented, but of course it's a target. We want to give that freedom to some.
It was part of the initial plan, and but we were not yet there.
Another question also on the same. So will it be, for example, possible to have our own fork of Odoo and working on it?
Your own what?
I mean,
like
so run
That's the second most asked question. I can't answer the question right now because allowing people to use a specific checkout of Odoo is quite a bit the same than using a fork. So as I told, this is the kind of feature we still have to think. The following weeks we will have a lot of meetings about that, and we will decide this kind of things. But it's a bit it comes along with the previous question. I understand that.
Because you have two parts of. If you allow too much, then you sacrifice maybe the stability of the platform, because when we control much of the code running on it, we can guarantee more easily that everybody will run fine. At the end, if we just say, oh, it's a container, you just SSH in it and do whatever you want, but it's not specific to Odoo. So we have to find the right balance between what we want to control to give a higher level of quality and what things we should allow. So it's and the reason why we didn't do it now is because we want to have a basic minimal product that works, and we don't care if at the beginning it doesn't support all the use case. We prefer to support limited use case, but make sure that those works. And once we have those running and the platform is successful, then we can maybe extend the scope of what we want to cover and cover more use cases.
Let's say we will provide SSH access.
Yeah. Right. That SSH access will be provided, I think, very soon. But allowing people to run more things, and we still have to decide.
Okay, so I'm gonna repeat the first question of the session because Anthony was not there and I wanted the response. So, what's the long-term plans and the long-term goal of Odoo.SH? Have you
From a strategy point of view, I think if you consider the history of Odoo and you look, every year we release a new application. So we release at the very beginning we didn't have MRP, then we had MRP, then this and that. Then, for example, 2 years ago we had the website and everything around the website, e-commerce. Last year, I don't know, we issue every year new application, but you can see that this year there is only maybe a website calendar, which is the new online appointment application, and maybe a marketing campaign. which is a new application, but there was something with a similar use case in the code. So we don't want to expand our functional coverage that much. What we want to do is, of course, improve, and there are we have much work to do to improve the usability and maybe the coverage inside of one of our application. For example, if I take the accounting, we don't want to add many new features in accounting, but we want to get right and out of the box running for every country in the world. So it's a lot of work, but it doesn't increase the coverage. So I think we are happy with what Odoo, the standard Odoo covers now. But I say that, but there are always exceptions, and every year we will come probably with a small new application. So it's time for us to spend more time to help people in the ecosystem who provide things that are vertical. Because in Odoo we decided never to include vertical application. By vertical application, I mean an application that will be specific to one industry. Let's say, for example, something only for doctors. And so we want to stay have a generic core, but it's time, I think, to give more focus around the ecosystem and everything that can supplement that core. And Odoo.SH is one part of that, and in-app pushes and the work that we will do with apps is also part of that. To become more a platform that is just, you know, a simple product. So, voilà, that's some insight about the strategy. I don't know if it answers your questions.
Yeah.
Do you provide direct access to database?
Direct access to database?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. If you type PSQL, you can play with the database. You mean a direct connection to PostgreSQL using the PostgreSQL protocol?
Yeah, the PG admin, for example.
I don't know. It's not planned now, but so he wants to get access like he would use the PSQL locally and connect to the network to the database. Maybe Fabien can answer.
Is it possible technically?
Well, you say everything is possible. you say that once. We don't plan to do that directly. Depends also on the use case. Maybe we can discuss. I'd like to know why you would like to do this. I can understand most scenarios, but it seems to be a special workflow.
What happens is I do SSH -L uppercase and I forward port my local port to the port of Postgres. That would work, no? Okay, yeah, because you are constrained in your container. No.
It's a feature we can think about.
Okay, it's a feature we can think about. So, it's not excluded, but it's not available right now.
No, because it's easier to work with PG admin for some people.
Yeah, if you need to import or export amount of data, and you don't want to copy the file inside the container to do it, but yes.
I'll go back for the strategy question.
Yeah.
So of course, some of the partners are running their own runbox, let's say like that.
Yeah.
And that was one. Because if you allow somebody to fork something, then it's very hard to control what is forking, and is it a community, is it enterprise, is it a mixture, and so on. That's a technical question. My concern is in long term. That means in the next 3-5 years, if you change the policy, the pricing, everything that is, because of course, from the resource point of view and planning and budgeting further forward, it's not very easy to compile something like that, if you understand what I mean.
But we guarantee that everything that you start will stay on the price that you start with. That's what we guarantee. Now about you say 2-3 years, it's far ahead, and I cannot make a prediction on what will happen.
you plan to, at some point, you know, we have customers that prefer to own their database on their own
Inside their
domain.
walls, no? No.
Yeah, inside their walls. So Odoo.SH will help us to provide Odoo service hosted by Odoo. But is there any plan for a tool like that?
Not at the moment, no.
Other question? Besides yours?
No more questions here.
One more question on the internet.
Is it possible to use Bitbucket Repo for our submodules?
At the moment, no.
In some modules, yes.
In some modules you can do it, but not for the main repository.
Another question, can I add another library to the container?
Alors, depends if it's a Python library that's already covered, you can use maybe you can explain.
Okay, so for external dependencies, Python dependencies, it's already covered through requirements.txt files, file that you can put on your repository. Even we'll try to find the use of the sub repositories. If this module requires an extension to be compiled along with the module, like a C extension, then currently, at least in beta, you will have to contact us. So we will add this library to the container. As I said previously, our targets one day is to allow yourself to manage the containers and install it yourself. But we are not yet there, so meanwhile, just contact us and we will add the dependencies for your testing purpose.
Okay. That's all?
Okay, so I would like you to give a big applause to our developer of the Odoo.SH team. Because there are still many challenges that lies ahead for them in the future. And I thank you for your attendance and hope to see you tonight at the Odoo concert and the event tonight. See you.
Just a simple message. Most of you know already, but we're still holding the workshop today and tomorrow. So if you have more questions or more use cases, don't hesitate to come and see us. We're quite approachable, I think. Thank you.